today.
These are scientific experiments. This is what you signed off on. But you also told the American people they had to distance by 6 feet. They had to wear masks.
How long you kept them going is debatable.
How dare you?
Mask mandates for adults, mask mandates for children, mask mandates for children under 5.
And going back to what I said before, all of that is in the context of, at the time, 4 to 5,000. Excuse me?
Mask mandates for children under 5. There's scientific evidence supporting that.
There was no study that did masks on kids.
But let's also talk a little bit further about the type of science that you represent. NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers, a fact that's been hidden. Let's talk about the fact about, is it right for scientists and doctors getting paid by the American people, government taxpayer paychecks, to get patents where they're paid millions and hundreds of millions of dollars?
All right, now, this has been tearing up the airwaves for quite a while. We all know a lot of people are against Dr. Fauci. Yes, they are. Now he's being exposed for all his rhetoric, all his social distancing. All of these rules that were put in place are now coming to the light. They are saying that this was not proved by science. It was not backed by science. It was just something that he put in place just to be a rule, just for the sake of. And they also go more in depth and blow up his spot and expose him even furthermore. With that being said, that is your girl, Senator Marjorie. She is not playing right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene, yeah, she is on a hunt. With that being said, if you like reactions like this, consider hitting that like button. Definitely subscribe to my channel and also hit the notification bell. It will only help my channel grow. Let's sit back and react. Let's see how this is about to play out. Will he stand on business or will he fold? Let's go.
He's not an advisor on policy.
That's very confusing to have someone's title and not having that to be their obligation.
But that is the fact, though.
I think that supports what we said. There needs to be more oversight and there needs to be more accountability. Mr. Chairman, my time has expired, but these points are very clear to all of us today in this hearing room. I yield back.
I now recognize Mr. Garcia from California for 5 minutes. Oh, he left? I now recognize Ms. Greene from Georgia for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Fauci, you were quoted on CBS Face the Nation saying it's easy to criticize, but they're really criticizing science because I represent science. Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci?
I am a scientist who uses the scientific method to gain information.
Yes, you said you represent science. Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci? Yes or no? Yes or no?
No, that's not a yes or no
Yes,
answer.
it's a yes or no.
I don't think it is.
Okay, well, we'll take that as a you don't know what you represent.
Oh.
Who is he to say he don't think it is when she is asking him a yes or no? You don't change the question on the answer. Like, make it make sense. Why, when everybody gets in these chairs right here, for some weird reason, they never answer directly? Everything is indirect. Whenever they're on the subcommittee, oh man, everyone is a liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Why?
But this, as director of the NIH, you did sign off on these so-called scientific experiments. And as a dog lover, I want to tell you this is disgusting and evil, what you signed off on, and these experiments that happened to beagles paid for by the American taxpayer. And I want you to know Americans don't pay their taxes for animals to be tortured like this. So the type of science that you are representing, Mr. Fauci, is abhorrent, and it needs to stop. Mr. Fauci, you also represent the type of science where you confess that you made up the COVID rules, including
I didn't hear what you
6
said.
feet social distancing and masking of children.
I never said I made anything up.
You admitted that you made it up. You
I
made it
didn't
up
say
as you went.
I made it up.
So are you saying this is fake news, Mr. Fauci?
I didn't say I made anything up.
What did you say?
I said that it is not based in science and it just appeared.
But this is science.
I don't understand his way of answering questions. He's literally dancing around every question being asked. Those answers are not direct. Those answers lead to more questions.
What does dogs have to do with anything that we're talking about today?
These are scientific experiments. This
You
is
don't
what
care
you
about
signed
animals,
off on.
obviously.
But you also told the American people they had to distance by 6 feet. They had to wear masks. But let's also talk a little bit further about the type of science that you represent. NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers, a fact that's been hidden. Let's talk about the fact about, is it right for scientists and doctors getting paid by the American people, government taxpayer paychecks, to get patents where they're paid millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in royalty fees, especially when the NIH and these government agencies, most powerful agencies in our country, are recommending medical suggestions and advice and making up guidelines?
Yeah, them guidelines were definitely made up. As they were dishing out the guidelines, they never made sense to me, but we were all shamed for it. People were really believing in these guidelines. They thought it was science proven. And look at us today. Look at us today. Far from the truth. Far from it.
Suggestions and advice and making up guidelines like 6 feet distancing and masking of children. Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci? Because you're not doctor. You're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes. No, I don't need your answer. I want to talk about this right here.
Mr. Chairman,
Fauci,
objection.
Mr. Chairman,
Objection.
I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time,
Gentlelady will
Mr.
suspend.
Raskin.
Gentlelady will
Point of order.
suspend.
Mr.
Point
Chairman,
of order.
just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to be a doctor?
Yes, because in my time, that man does not deserve to have a license. As a matter of fact, it should be revoked, and he belongs in
Gentlelady will
prison.
suspend. And the gentlelady should recognize the doctor as a doctor.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, is this what we have become? Is this what we have devolved into? No decorum.
You know what? We can do that hearing about the poor men that were injected with syphilis, because I support you in that. That's horrific. And this government that
I
does
would
things
urge
like that to
Ms.
Americans doesn't have decorum to the American
Mr.
people.
Chairman,
The gentleman is out of
point of regular order, please.
The gentleman is out of order.
Decorum.
She's speaking too much truth. They
Recognize
don't
the
like
point of
that.
order.
They don't
Go ahead
like
with your point
that.
of order.
You got it.
No, I mean, I was going to say what Representative Raskin said. That's completely unacceptable to be able to deny Dr. Fauci, who's here, a respected member of the medical community, his title. And that's actually a personal attack on his character.
And I have instructed her.
He's not respected.
And I've instructed her to address him as a doctor.
What does that have
I'm
to
not
do with
addressing him as
anything?
doctor. Let's talk about.
I would-
Let's talk
Mr.
about
Chairman,
this.
I
I'm
would move
reclaiming
that the
my
woman-
time. I'm reclaiming my time.
Words get taken
I'm
down.
reclaiming my time.
Second that.
Point of order.
Suspend.
All right.
A member can only move to have words. I'm sorry. The issues we are debating are important ones that members feel deeply about. And while vigorous disagreement is part of the legislative process, as I said at the beginning, members are reminded that we must adhere to established standards of decorum in debate. This is a reminder that it is a violation of House rules and the rules of this committee to engage in personalities regarding other members or to question the motives of a colleague. Remarks of that type are not permitted by the rules and are not in keeping with the best traditions of our committee. The chair will enforce these rules of decorum at all times and urges all members to be mindful of their remarks. Does the gentleman from California have anything further?
We should have to take her words down.
Yeah, I made it. I offered that her words be taken down, Mr. Chair.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a point of order.
Mr.
Because
Griffin
they
is
accused us
Mr.
of
Griffin is
worshiping
Gentlelady
President
will-
Trump. We
Gentlelady-
don't worship President Trump.
Gentlelady will suspend. Mr. Griffin, you have a point of order.
Mr. Chairman, while it may not be polite, I believe the rule only applies to members of this body, the Senate, and the President of the United States. I do not believe that it applies. The rule on taking down words does not apply to a witness. Again, I'm not condoning the words. I'm just relating or asking whether or not it applies to individuals
talking about a lot of nothing
just
right now.
happen to be here in front of us.
Let's get back
I
to
agree. The chair
Fauci.
overrules point of order by the gentleman from Maryland, but ask that members please afford all other members the respect they're entitled, refrain from using rhetoric that could be construed as an attack on the motives or character of another member or the witness. You may proceed.
Thank you.
Let's go.
This was a time in history where you got to throw out the first pitch at the Washington Nationals baseball game while Americans were forced to stay home and watch such events that they love from at home alone on their televisions. And what a hypocrisy this picture shows. Here you are without your mask, with empty seats everywhere. Remember the cardboard cutout fans? That was one of the most insulting things to Americans, having to watch the games from home where you got to go and enjoy the game and sit right next to people not following the 6 feet of distancing, not wearing your mask, and everyone else was forced to stay home and stop enjoying life. And your science here, your science is displayed perfectly in this picture where children in school
Are you
were
serious?
put in plastic bubbles because of your science.
I haven't seen that, but that's ridiculous right there. You're teaching a music class in plastic bubbles. This is what we came down to. I'm not gonna lie. People were doing a lot of weirdness outside. Some people were coming out in spacesuits. They really were afraid of the air. People didn't know what to do. They were running around like a chicken with his head cut off.
Your repulsive, evil science. And let's go back to your very own email. You said earlier you don't use email. Oh, you do. Right here. This is your own email where you said the typical mask you buy in the drugstore is not really effective in keeping out virus.
The funny thing is you still have people today wearing masks and they strongly believe it's backed by science. Meanwhile, Fauci just got exposed saying that it has nothing to do with science. It was just a made-up guideline. Could you believe that? And the people that are wound up like robots out here, not knowing how to think for themselves.
I do not recommend that you wear a mask. This is your email. This is your own words. But yet children all over America were forced to wear masks. Healthy children forced to wear masks, muzzled in their schools. And then they were forced to learn from home because of your so-called science and your medical suggestions while you and all your cronies get paid from Big Pharma. You know that what this committee should be doing? We should be recommending you to be prosecuted. We should be writing a criminal referral because you should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity. You belong in prison, Dr. Fauci.
Mr. Chairman, I have another point of order.
I recognize Ms. Dingell.
Just want to make sure the record is clear. Dr. Fauci testified that he did not use his personal email for official business. He did not say he did not use email. And I think today, this particular has been full of lies and disregard and disrespect, and we need to stick to facts.
Thank you. The gentlelady's time had expired before the point of order. I now recognize Mr. Garcia from California for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Fauci, I am so sorry you just had to sit through that. That was completely irresponsible. Quite frankly, we're hearing, this might be the most insane hearing I've actually attended. I've only been in Congress for a year and a half, but
Wait a minute. Who are you?
I'm so sorry that you are subjected to those level of attacks and insanity. Your quote-unquote so-called science that the gentlewoman is referring to as safe.
I don't know. I think that guy was smoking something. I don't know where he sees that this guy did anything good right here, because as we know, based on history, they've been on him right here. People been wanting him out the way. And he came back 2 decades later, right back with the same rhetoric, right back at you. You understand me? Yes, they save these people, they shelve them, and bring them back out when it makes sense. If you don't believe me, do your own research. With that being said, if you stuck to this part of the video, consider hitting that like button, definitely subscribe to my channel, and also hit the notification bell. See you in the next one.